Welcome back. This is K24 this morning. It's the second half of our newspaper review, talking about, a journey of political slogans. But how's the delivery rate? That's what we're looking at right here. Let's have a question up. What has the Uhuru Kenyatta administration promised and successfully delivered? The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. You can chime in on the conversation there. You can also get me on Twitter at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. We have some WhatsApp messages that you have sent in. Let's look at that. Hello Jeff, mi naonelea hii mambo ya manifesto ifuatiliwe kabisa. If you don't meet at least 3/4 of your manifesto, I don't think you should vie for that seat again. That's Ken from Kirugoya. Yeah, so be careful on the promises you make as a politician. Okay, let's see. I think affordable secondary education is one that Uhuru got it right. Many of those who completed primary education were never able to proceed to secondary school, but right now every child can afford to move to secondary school as well. Uhuru is the first president to oversee the implementation of county systems of government. He has really weathered many challenges and has appreciated the fact that Kenya needs devolution for grassroots development. Jenga Wakongo from Kihara. And the last one is, there's one thing he forgot to promise but 100% delivered, and that is corruption. Okay. Keep them coming in. The number, of course, is the WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen. You can also get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. We didn't see that coming. Let's move this along, because even as it stands right now, Derick, I want to have you in on this one as well. We're at a point where lots has been promised as far as this government is concerned. And as Ruth has said, probably it's because we are skewed to seeing the negative more than the positive. Do you think that's it, that there's a lot going on the positive, but nobody's talking about that, Derick?
I tend to differ with some of the people making their comments there, because I believe that the president and his campaign team went around the country telling us something about unity. Unfortunately, they have not delivered that. I'm so sorry that they have given us a shambles of an administration, and they have totally failed to support our anti-corruption crusade. And as Ruth says, we see what they have not delivered, but I don't see what they have delivered in terms of development for the common man. Unfortunately, history has it that Uhuru Kenyatta was the first president under the new the constitutional dispensation, which we might be doing away with some of the bits, considering that the BBI is going to introduce some things that go with ethos and self-discipline and morals. I don't know why it should be part of BBI or a constitution argument. But I tend to believe most of the things Uhuru Kenyatta promised never delivered in term 1, and only came to do it in term 2 when he did not have the unity of purpose they had in the first term. Probably somebody sent a comment there that after the handshake, things went south. I believe they went south, and they are really pear-shaped as we speak. But I'm always convinced that there is a way this country has moved forward, and probably not because of Uhuru Kenyatta, probably because he's offered the conducive environment to have it happen, but he's not given every child a laptop. I believe some of them are doing class 7 now. They have not received their laptop since 2013. He has not shown us how to make Nairobi a great city. He has allowed the cartels to do so many things, bad things to this nation. And it's an afterthought, as I said, that he decided to bring Major General Badi to steady a ship that was sinking 2 years to his final date in office. And let's always believe that it's not only the president who can make some of these things happen, because people will say that probably COVID-19 served him a bad shot, but without COVID-19, America is still donating billions. One of the most ravaged countries is donating billions to other nations of the world. I tend to believe Uhuru overshot, and the sloganeering they had in 2013 was more futuristic, and it was more of a daydream that was not bound to happen at all.
Okay.
There is no stadia. They have eaten the stadia cash. They've eaten medicine cash. They've brought us corruption at the Ministry of Education, Health, Internal Security, and all these things. We should remember Uhuru for delivering what he told us he would. And I pray to God that he can manage it in the coming 2 years.
Okay, a lot of negativity coming from Derick right now. Let me try and steer that ship back, because
Yes.
even as we talk about Uhuru Kenyatta and probably what he promised versus what he delivered, there's also something interesting in terms of different administrations coming in. There's a lack of follow-through, because as President Charles, you will come in with what you wanted to do. When you leave office, Ruth comes in, leaves that project, starts something else. I'll come in, leave what Ruth did, start something else. And that seems to be a key, soft underbelly from where we stand, because you look at other countries around the world, there's a clear trajectory where you want to go, and every administration pushes in that particular direction. What happens here? Because we had Vision 2030 and everybody was talking about how well crafted it was, how we are moving in a certain direction. Now we are talking Big Four. Now we are talking BBI. And it seems like every single administration comes and moves and leaves what was done before. How do you have that sense of continuity, Charles?
I think that is the most amazing confusion that is in this country, because there is nothing further from the truth than that. And I think what we need, and I will always say this every time I get an opportunity, we need to either have the office of the government spokesman styling up, working, or just ship it out, because this confusion should not be there. It's not like Vision 2030 has gone anywhere. That's a long-term plan. And it is there, everything around, we are working around it. It's not like the provisions in the Constitution on socio-economic rights has gone anywhere. If you look at the socio-economic rights that are provided for in the Constitution, we are talking about affordable housing. We are talking about health for everyone. We are talking about education for our kids. Those are the things we are talking about. They are provided for in the Constitution. What Uhuru is doing is actually implementing these things that are provided for, including the long-term plan as contained in the long-term plan that we are talking about, that we call Vision 2030. Everything is right in there. Those are the boundaries. We are operating from in here. The fight against corruption. How can someone talk about Uhuru not fighting corruption when he's the first person that has made corrupt guys get scared for real? You know, people are scared of Kinoti. You remember one time, I don't know, a governor, Kinoti is walking in to take tea, and a governor walks out through the back door. And then cartel start fighting that, saying, you are arresting us on Fridays, you should be arresting us after Sunday when you go to church, you should arrest us, you should take us to court this day, you should treat us nicely because we are big people. And Kenyans sort of like agreed with them, a few Kenyans. And the media also got into the whole arrangement. And before you knew it, everyone was saying, Kinoti, deal with basic small little crimes, let EACC deal with matters corruption and economic crimes. If you listen to EACC, they tell you how much money they have recovered. If you look at the law right now, and the judgments have been given and rulings that have been given, now you are allowed to actually access and get and confiscate what appears to be proceeds of crime, even before the criminal proceedings are completed. These are the gains my sister here is saying. Nobody is talking about them. The fight against corruption is on track. It's only that people expect you get arrested on matters, crime related to corruption, you get shot on sight or you get jailed the very same day. It's not like they are not seeing there is a due process that is supposed to be undergone maybe the next 2-3 years. And if the judiciary is okay and the office of the prosecution is all right, we'll find people either jailed or returning or whatever it is, or both. And I think if we don't see it that way, if we don't see today, as we speak today, this country is under construction. It doesn't matter where you live, you'll tell me there is a road out there somewhere that is being done. That is not just happening. I mean, come on, you tell me, you show me where there are no roads that are being done right now as we speak. You wake up, you go 2 kilometers, you'll find something going down in terms of an infrastructure major. Those are the things that we need to look at and consider. Look at how the bypasses, their traction in terms of businesses around them, in terms of activity, in terms of prices of property, the title deeds that are being issued so that you can walk into a bank, collect this loan, do this. If we don't start seeing those things in perspective and start putting meat around it to the extent that we can be able now to move from there, we're expecting government seriously to put food on your table. Literally, it might not happen. But I think if we don't see it that way, if we are not encouraged to see things in the right perspective, then we shall beat ourselves literally and blame it on the handshake, yet the handshake is actually supposed to strengthen all these things. The handshake is supposed to help everyone see things in perspective. And I think that is where we are going wrong, because we are almost getting to another election. Elections about issues. The issue around this coming election will be about the poor versus the rich. By the way, Jeff, there is your neighbor who believes you are a very rich person. So if you go that direction, to them you are the dynasty. Trust me. And that person who is seeing you as a dynasty, there is someone below him or her who is seeing that person as the richest person around them. So the moment we go that direction, we lose focus on the bigger picture that should be guiding us on issues, real issues, because William Ruto should be about continuity from where Jubilee will drop it and pick it up from there. Raila Odinga, if he becomes president, should be about picking it from where Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto drop it and pick it from there and deliver. So, but it cannot be about, this is not the direction we are going. We shall go the right opposite direction, because we will waste a whole 10 years or so. Yeah.
Ruth, Charles has spoken about the fact the fight against corruption has indeed been bolstered. A lot of effort has been put in there. But for people looking at it, they say there's a lot of lip service. We saw the Kamata Fridays happen, but that's about it. You know, we're not seeing the money coming back. We're not seeing the big fish, as they're called, doing the time for their crimes.
Yeah.
I mean, even talk about elections. We had an issue in court, Chicken Gate. In the UK, they were found guilty. They have done their time. They have paid their fine.
But
and
it's
right
not
in
the
Kenya,
UK.
we're almost in another election. It was the same crime, the same people involved, same case
The
in
US
Kenya.
actually.
We're about
The
to get
UK.
to another election,
Yes.
and we still haven't gotten to the bottom of that. And that's why even if the gears of justice grind slowly, surely, ours seem like they're not moving at all.
Well, I always say that when you see a lot of corruption cases being reported and a lot of scandals coming out, that's a good sign that the war against corruption is headed somewhere. So, and you see that the problem with the interpretation of the Kenyan mind is that because we are having a lot of cases and scandals coming out, then it means that there's nothing that is being done about it. Yet we should look at it from the point of view that if by the time a scandal is being reported, that means that one agency that is critical in fighting corruption has done its job, has investigated and discovered that there is corruption in a particular ministry or department of government. But then again, we cannot overlook the fact that the fight against corruption is a fight that is supposed to be pushed by not just one arm of government, but you have various agencies that play a part in it. There's an agency that is supposed to do investigations. There's an agency that is supposed to ensure that once the investigations are done, due process in court is achieved. There's an agency after that that is supposed to ensure that there's recovery of assets after the whole process, once one is convicted of the crime of corruption. So I think when we look at it in terms of this is a fight that is supposed to be pushed by various agencies, then we will begin to know where to place blame. We'll begin to understand and say that, okay, fine, if the problem is within the DCI, investigative department, then that is where the focus should be. If the problem is within the court process and the court systems being slow, and the fact that, you know, people are granted, injunctions are being granted that are unnecessary, then maybe there is where the change should be done. If the problem is in the slowness in which we are recovering our assets, if the problem is in the fact that people are being arrested but we don't see convictions, then we should be able to focus the attention where the problem is, as opposed to saying, looking at efforts of one arm of government, or failure by one arm that is supposed to be fighting corruption, failure by that particular arm, and terming the entire process as faulty, or terming the entire process as being a fruitless process.
Right.
So I think what needs to happen is that as Kenyans we need to develop the lens of placing blame where blame ought to be placed, because then again you can't start blaming the entire Uhuru Kenyatta administration for failure in fighting corruption when you can see, as he has mentioned, that for the first time we are having high-level corruption, high-level arrests taking place. You know, that is a step in the right direction. And what needs to happen is that the next administration that comes, because 2 years is pretty much a short period of time, the next administration that comes should ensure that the systems, the three systems the various systems that are supposed to ensure that corruption is being fought are strengthened enough to ensure that, you know, this whole problem is once and for all buried. So I think we need to look, we really need to be a country that places blame where blame ought to be placed. You know? Yeah.
We have some feedback as well coming in on this particular conversation. We're talking about Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. What has been promised and successfully delivered? That's what we're asking right there. The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen as well. We have some messages. Let's have that up. Hi K24, there's no reason to have devolution as an excuse for not delivering on the party manifesto, because they should have put in consideration all of that before making promises. Otherwise, it's an abuse to the Kenyans. In the case of BBI, I don't find it necessary to have a referendum at this time. I think we can have the bills on some issues affecting the nation and some issues like creating positions. Otherwise, let's wait for the final report. That we shall. Okay, Uhuru Kenyatta's, hello Jeff, there are several things that I feel the Uhuru Kenyatta government has achieved. First, in terms of infrastructure, many kilometers of roads have been constructed. Example, at my home county, I have 5 options to choose to link with Nyeri-Nairobi Highway. The last mile connectivity, many homesteads have access to power. And by the way, was Water Stadium completed in the next month? Okay, that's the issue, just not going anywhere anytime soon, is it? Let the politicians give our president and prime minister a chance to roll out the BBI report and see what it contains. That's gov't. Uhuru has tried to achieve part of his agenda, but his DP has slowed him by not supporting him fully. Free maternity, but there's a Kiswahili saying that says, kuzaa mwana si kazi, kazi ni kulea. Chamaiz Kiporir, Edwin from Marakwet. Well, there you have it, some views coming in on that, even as you see it right now. I want to come to you, Derick, on this one, because you've been all gloom and doom on this one. Yeah. As we try and look on the other side of the coin, is there something that's working? Is there something that whichever administration picks up from this one, they can follow through with and move it forward from where you stand?
I think in Kenya we have differing political manifestos. 1. 2, we don't have a synchronized sort of cabinet office or the president's office that takes up what Daniel Toroitich Moi left and hands it over to Kibaki in a structured manner. That is why, Jeff, we've always had different and quite separate ideas of how to govern our country. For sure that if we have a proper handover, I don't know whether Moi handed over the proper instruments of power to Mwai Kibaki after the sham that was the handover at Uhuru Park in 2003. But that one aside, I've always believed that we need to have this synchronized process of handing over or handing down what you are doing to the next occupant of that important office. We have had a situation where cabinet minister, let's go back to that level of the CS. When a CS comes, Kiunjuri leaves, and Peter Munya comes, Kiunjuri was trying so many times to do something for the tea farmers. A day after Kiunjuri left, Munya came and started a process which sort of embarrassed the Kiunjuri team, because the ambitions are day and night. It's chalk and cheese when you try to compare the two. And I'll go back to what I've been telling you, is that we need this structured process like the one Mwai Kibaki left to Uhuru Kenyatta when financing education in this country. He left to Uhuru with the primary school education 100% funding. Uhuru Kenyatta came up with the secondary school funding, which Kibaki had started, but he made it look so easy. And because there was that structured process where Mudhaura, Joseph Kinyua, and the technocrats around them know what is going on. Today, God forbid, we have a new administration that is not part of the Jubilee process. We'll have so many people kicked out of office. We saw it in 2003. And then we bring a totally different system to kickstart another process of doing the roads, education. They only don't touch military for obvious reasons, but all other key drivers of our economy are interfered with. You have new faces coming from I don't know where. Somebody who was in the streets is given a big job. We saw it in the youth fund. And 2 years later, there were so many sackings because most of them don't even know how government works. And this is why I'm saying we need a structured cabinet office that tells you, Jeff, you are the CS education, this is what happens. We don't need a process where Ruth Ambogo is known to be a youth expert. When she comes there, she comes with a totally different team. Guys who had been there for 7 years, 8 years are kicked out, and somebody comes from the bush because he was sloganeering during the campaigns to take over an important office.
Okay. I want us to move it forward. We have 3 or so minutes before we bring this to a close. And I want us to take it back to where we started this particular conversation.
Yes.
Some dailies calling it a power weekend for the president. Others talking about the stage being set. What we do know is that this second draft of the BBI will definitely be out this weekend, next week. Is the BBI the next slogan that we're going to be hearing this year?
I wish the next
It will solve everything.
I wish
BBI will solve everything again. Here we are.
I wish the next big party is called Building Bridges Political Party of Kenya or something like that. Because, I mean, if taken literally, then it works. And let me remind my brother, we have even the law on assumption of office of the president now, courtesy of how the assumption of office Kibaki time was handled. Now we have a clear, smooth way. We even have assumption of office of the Governors Act law on how that again happens. And I think Uhuru is the first person to say, no new projects, let us first complete the projects that have been there, even by his own administration first term. BBI is really big, but because there is this hype that it's about creating the position of Prime Minister. And if you look at the first report that was there that went for validation, the position of Prime Minister is actually the current position of Leader of Majority in the National Assembly. If you look at that position, because to be a Prime Minister, you have to be an MP, you are paid the same salary as an MP, nothing much, other than coordinating matters government affairs inside Parliament. I don't think it has those powers to make everyone scared and make it feel like that all the money now is going to that person. That is an MP that would actually be paying a salary, just like we pay Kemunya today, we are paying Duale the other day, all these positions. So I think if we can remove that from our mind and start seeing BBI in terms of even issues, ethos, forget about a referendum for a minute and look at this country 100 years from now. If we are insulting each other on social media today the way we do, if we are chopping each other off, you know, even shooting each other literally in the face of a small little issues today, what kind of society are we going to expect 100 years from now? If we start seeing cross-cutting issues like ethos, if we start seeing cross-cutting issues like shared prosperity, and being a responsible person, not just looking up to government to deliver things on your table. Much as you have the rights, you have the responsibilities. If you stop seeing the other bigger things that are talking about 10 billion for a referendum to do this, 10 billion for a referendum to do the other one, we start seeing the smaller picture that looks small only because it's small in our mind, but it is affecting us in a very big way. Okay. Are you proud of the kids that you see on social media? Are you proud of the things that you see? And those are the issues that we are trying to address. The church is addressing the same, courts are addressing the same. Everyone is saying, let us look for alternative arbitration. Even the courts are tired of handling some of these things. If you can see the bigger picture and appreciate, especially personally, appreciate the fact that the voting system that we have is non-functional. It's not going to help us go anywhere. I am personally praying again and again that we are going to change the voting system from plurality to proportional representation. I know some members of Parliament, National Assembly and Senate might not be very happy when the party becomes stronger than it is, but look at it against a backdrop of, say, IEBC conducting party primaries. We'll wait and discuss that once this particular document comes out. Ruth, very quickly, the last time this country had a referendum, it birthed a new political force. Yes. And that's where ODM came from and became the force that it is. Are we seeing that going to happen again with the BBI? We've had Charles intimating here. He's hoping we'll have a BBI party as we move forward. Do you think that's where this is going? I don't think this one will birth any new political force per se, but it is likely to strengthen those who are thinking of running for elections in the 2022 elections. That this is regardless of whether you will be supporting or opposing. So if you will be supporting, and most likely we are looking at Raila Odinga, probably if he's going to run for 2022, then the BBI will offer him a chance to strengthen his position to sort of, it will most likely offer him a campaign platform for 2022, that is for sure. And also for William Ruto, if in case, I mean, going by the rumors and the expectations that he might actually oppose the report, if that
becomes the case, then it's also going to strengthen his position, because by the time his position for 2022 elections, by the time he shall be opposing this particular report, he shall be having strong views that he hopes his people and his followers align themselves to. So I don't think we will see the birth of any new political movements per se, but the strengthening of those who are already in the race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Derek, I'll come to you very quickly, 30 seconds on this one as we close. Finishing up where we started off this weekend, quite a key one for Uhuru and Raila, of course, as they bring BBI to the masses next week proper, if anything, if going by the dailies is anything to go by. Do you think it's smooth sailing for them at this particular point in time?
Yeah, it will be a momentous weekend for Kenya, considering that maybe if the rumors we have is true, that the BBI will be officially midwifed, then we'll have it next week. But it will not be smooth sailing, because already people have taken positions, and you know how politics polarizes our great nation, Kenya.
Okay.
And I just pray that they will walk out of it and leave Kenya united as it was during the happy times. We forget about the politics, the electioneering slogan called Hustler Nation, and the dynasties, and we forge ahead with a great development agenda that will keep us united.
Okay, Derek, thank you so much for that. Of course, we're winding up the show. But before we do that, of course, some feedback coming in. We had asked about Uhuru Kenyatta and, of course, in terms of his administration, what promised and what was successfully delivered. Let's have that up. Hello, Jeff. In Swahili, we say, Mgala muwe na haki umpe. Let Kenyans be patient with the BBI duo, for we might be blocking a good cause because of our different political ambitions. Isaac Odor from Athi River. President Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, his deputy, Honorable Dr. William Ruto, promised the people of Kenya the Big Four agenda of development, which is still underway. Failure to both are answerable. The last minute can save a man. There's still enough time to do at least some of these. That's Wilson Etich from Bomet. Hello, Jeff. I'm glad to get those conversations hot. I wonder what handshake was meant to bring. I think it was to sideline DP, and it has resulted to slowing down development. Let them involve the DP, and the Big Four agenda will be finally achieved. I'm Collins from Kericho. The last one. Hello, good morning, K24. I'm grateful for the government, but delivery on the manifesto of the government is staggering. I'm afraid the successor from this government have a long way to go. Poor delivery on the Big Four agenda. Okay, that's why we wind it up as far as our newspaper review is concerned this morning. Many thanks for making time, Charles Munywe. Asante sana. Ruth Ambogo, thank you so much for your time as well. Derick Otieno joined the conversation as well. Asante sana. We take a short break now. We are back on the other side. We get interactive. It's a Hangout Friday, so you know music in plenty as well. This is K24 This Morning.